This meeting is now being recorded.
Good afternoon, Derby agents. This is Kevin Shady welcoming you again from beautiful Louisville, Kentucky, where we've got a heck of a show for you today, again, like always, and I appreciate, as we always do, you taking the time out of your selling day. Hopefully you're grabbing a quick lunch or a late lunch, depending upon where you live, and you'll sit back and listen to what we've got in store for you today. We've got John Singerman and his team from Alliance Cost Containment, that's ACC, one of our founding solution partners from coming up, gosh, I guess it's been 2 years ago, starting on September 11th, 9/11 of 2012, that we've been doing the Derby agency with all of our partners, and ACC was one of our founding, launching, whatever you want to call it, solutions partners with us. And you know, John's going to talk to us today about a couple of new categories that they've got. If you remember ACC, folks, and I'm sure you do, they're cost containment, Alliance Cost Containment, and they help reduce what I like to say just the normal business operating expenses for those large enterprise customers that you have out there, and they do it across some 36 different categories. And the two new categories they're going to talk to us about today have to deal with Treasury Management and some auditing software for UPS and FedEx, and saving your clients some money on that. So with it, John, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. I'll reiterate what Kevin said. Thanks for joining us today to all out of your busy days. And the two new categories, as Kevin mentioned, is our Treasury Management Services, which we've recently introduced both these categories into our client base, along with a Alliance Cost audit on the express mail for FedEx and UPS. So these two categories are categories which we've had a lot of traction with within our customer base, and I was fortunate enough to get a hold of Lane Nunes earlier today to discuss the Treasury Management Advisor program, and he is going to do a much better job than I would of explaining it and answering your questions. I think, Lane, if I'm not mistaken, you're the CEO of Treasury Management Advisors and have been doing this, I won't quote the literature here, but it's been for a number of years, and they're a group of ex-bankers that have been doing this with tremendous success. We've got them engaged, as I mentioned, with, I believe, 3 or 4 of our clients with very, very good results. So it's in its early stages. We are currently putting together a one-page description that we'll be sending out to Derby and all the agents, entailing exactly how the program works and frequently asked questions. And Lane and his team are excellent in terms of support and helping us with this program to sell it into our current client base and a new client. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lane Nunes, the CEO of Treasury Management, and let him go through what their program's all about.
You bet. Hey, John, I really appreciate your time. Kevin, thanks so much for the introduction, and all the Derby agents. I appreciate your time today. As John had indicated, just by way of background, our team, we are the category experts for banking for Alliance Cost Containment, now / Derby, obviously. Our goal is to simply put, be an aid to your clients on the banking front. And we really help in 3 areas. One is we help with day-to-day banking fees. I'll give you a great example just so you can think about this as you're eating lunch today. But you'd be amazed at what banking fees run in the marketplace. You'll see all these profits being made by banks, but one of the key areas or drivers is something that's known as Treasury Management fees. And what are those? It's just day-to-day banking costs, wires, ACHs, direct debits, that's where that falls, account maintenance. All in all, clients pay a very large fee, believe it or not, despite what they say. There are no nonprofit banks in the U.S. They're all for-profit. You've seen that, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, we help clients with their daily banking fees. And examples would be like a health system. The average health system today pays between, per hospital, about $75,000 to $100,000 in bank fees. We're not talking merchant or credit card fees. We're talking just to bank with local bank X, B of A, Chase, you name it. If you look at an automotive dealership, the average automotive dealership today pays somewhere between $7,000 to $10,000 a year per car dealership in bank fees to settle automotive transactions. You can look at insurance companies. Some of the largest insurers that we're engaged by, I will tell you, it's not uncommon that we see 7 figures of bank fees a year. We are working on Fortune 100 company today. Their bank fees are $7 million a year in bank fees. So we cover the gamut as far as size, ranging from the small architecture company that may be $25,000 a year in bank fees, all the way up to the large corporate client. And we've got names such as Blue Shield of California, Blue Cross of Idaho, and so on. We cover every industry. If you look at apartment complexes, you can say on average, generally speaking, per apartment complex that falls under a property manager, they're going to pay on average about $500 to $1,000 a month in bank fees. So if you start averaging up the average property manager and you look across all those properties, there are significant opportunities there. So our focus, 90% of our business, is just helping clients behind the scenes make sure they're paying what they should for their bank relationship. Our second goal is that the bank never knows that we've been present. These generally are people that are providing large amounts of credit to your clients, and we feel that those people are not vendors, they're partners. And anytime you introduce a third party, that is always a stumbling block to your relationship. It doesn't help. And in fact, when we started many years ago, we did that. We interfaced directly with the bank. And when we decided to make a strategic change and went behind the scenes through our clients, our returns went up another 15% on average. So there is a compelling reason to work through the client, take your time, and generally speaking, we glean solid results. Our average this past year for clients that were paying up to 6 figures in fees was in the 20 to 30% range. When you look at 7-figure payers, and they're out there, believe it or not, we've averaged in the 30 to 40% range in reduction of fees. So you'd think it'd be the opposite, but for whatever reason, that's the way that the numbers shook out last year. But we have a large amount of data. We gather statements each day, and they're not bank statements. We're looking for one critical statement. And as you visit with your prospects and clients, the one statement that you're looking for, again, it's not a bank statement. It's called an account analysis statement. So as you're out talking to prospects and they're interested in maybe taking a look at the bank fees, you're looking for that, one magical statement that's called the account analysis. And if you get it to John and team at Alliance, we, as category experts, will look at that, and with generally about 48 hours, we're back letting you know whether you have an opportunity or not. And our goal, again, is to work behind the scenes. We're not change agents. We want clients to stay where they are. We just want to make sure that they're not paying above market and they're getting the value that they warrant for their volume and size and all of the non-quantitative elements they bring into the relationship with the bank. So we look at banking, and then we also have 2 other areas that are about 10% of our business, which would be the merchant services or credit card processing. There's an arm, a partner that does that with the Alliance team, and then purchase cards or T&E cards. Many of these companies will equip their employees with travel and entertainment programs or cards or commercial cards or purchase cards, and those things have a rebate that pay once a year, and we make sure that that rebate is at market levels. So those are our 3 categories. We've been doing it a number of years. We've got a 100% reference rate, and that's no exaggeration. Your clients are always welcome to call our past clients and validate who we are, validate how we bill, which is purely off of savings, and our methodologies in working with them. So we're happy to do that. And ultimately, we hope that this is a category that you consider as you go out to the marketplace. But big picture-wise, we have a large amount of data, and with that data that we gather, we average about 2 hours post-contract total time that your client would spend with us and the bank per bank relationship post that contract being executed. So it's about 2 hours of total time, and we take that burden off of them of reconciling the activity from that point forward. So it's a very abbreviated exercise that usually has some pretty solid results. So just by way of history, again, we've been doing it a number of years, 100% reference rate, and our clients have found significant value in partnering with us. So that's just a little bit of background. As far as data that we provide the client with, it's very much a deliverable that they take to the bank, and they're able to act on that information independent of us at their own leisure, and they can use as much or as little of the information that we provide to them. So I'll close out with one quick example here. We actually just finished a large restaurant chain, and the restaurant chain elected to only use 3 of roughly 15 price points they could have gone back to the bank with. And their rationale was because the bank had really stepped up recently with some credit changes, covenant guarantee-related changes to the loan, rate changes, et cetera, and they didn't want to hit them too hard. We don't mind that. We want them to know that they control the shots, and our job is just to let them know what's out there if they'd like to capitalize on that. And that's why our clients have such a good experience. So at the end of the day, as you're out visiting with your prospects, clients, please consider banking. It is a tremendous opportunity. We've got a great team. They're very responsive. And I can tell you this will represent you well because we really stand by. You want to have good partners representing you. You've put your credibility on the line and getting us on the phone. The last thing we want to do is take away from that. So we want to make sure and represent you well. So that's a little bit about our services. I guess, John, on your side, do you have some maybe questions that you would like to throw at me or the team that I may be able to help and answer some of the questions around this category?
Well, let me start out. Thank you for that, Lane. Let me start out with one. So you're talking and spoke about the account analysis statement. Do you need 1, 2, or 3 months of that information from the agents on the phone?
Great question. The ideal is 3 months, but we just had a very large relationship that came in, and it was cumbersome for them to get multi-month data. No issue. We'll absolutely look at the most recent month. So be flexible, be willing to operate with what the client or prospect is willing to give you. We'd love 3 months, but we can work with 1.
And in terms of the merchant services, because we all know how highly competitive that field is and how everybody is inundated with calls constantly to change merchant services, could you talk a little bit about the incumbent and how that program is different from most that are out there?
Sure. So we have a gentleman on the team that obviously is doing this for Alliance, and here's how that works. I'll give you a real-life example. We just finished a healthcare entity roughly in the last week here, and it was a rehabilitation network. And the way that works the same as myself, in that we're looking for a statement. And on his side, he is looking for the most recent merchant statement. And if there is a roll-up for all of the merchant IDs, that's what he's looking for. And he is independent. He is agnostic, just like I am, to merchant providers. He's not selling anything. We're not selling anything. Sole responsibility is helping the client know truly where the value is in the marketplace. You're going to find that everyone has a brother-in-law in merchant services. I think that, that truly is an accurate statement because someone's always calling with a better deal. That's not the case. Literally, it's a statement review helping the client know what is out there in the marketplace. And again, it's called the roll-up merchant report or consolidated merchant report that's available each month. And it usually drops about the first of each month through the 4th. So by the 7th to 8th, it's always available. If you get that report, he's going to run a analysis to see where the market is, benchmark that pricing, as well as we'll seek 2 competitive bids that will validate his recommendation to the client for where the market is. That client then leverages that information, or in his case, he will actually negotiate directly if it is not with the credit providing bank. So many times you'll find that your clients are working with a non-credit provider, another institution. He actually will interface directly because that's not going to take away from a bank relationship. Where it is with the bank, he'll, just like me on the banking front, work through the client and give them the data they need, but completely agnostic, no sales job. It's just helping the client know where their pricing should be to the marketplace.
Hey, Lane, this is Kevin Shady. Could you give us an example or just, a typical, what a typical customer looks like in terms of what they're spending on these type of banking fees today, and then what kind of savings could be out there for them?
Sure. Let me, profile some recent deals. I just finished a large retailer that specialized in certain type of apparel, and they had 350 locations. They gave us 5 banks. My average savings across all banks was about 25%. I had some that were high, some that were in the low 20s, but I'd say the average was about 24-25% on average across all banks. Number 2 is you're looking for a retailer. The average spend per bank is going to probably be a range of $2,000 to $10,000 per bank relationship. If they have a lot of business concentrated with them, it's not atypical that someone's going to have $20,000 a month in bank fees. The rehabilitation network that I referenced earlier, their merchant savings alone, just off of refreshing their rate to current market and being pushed to where the market was $12,000 a month in merchant savings. So you'd be amazed when you go out there and call on companies, just as a general rule, don't underestimate anyone. And, I'd love to say, hey, you're looking for a magical number in account analysis fees or merchant fees. Generally speaking, it's the people that are paying 6 figures a year in merchant service fees are a good prospect. The clients that are spending 6 figures in bank fees, gross, not net, and I want to be very clear about this. These fees are not going to show up in accounts payable. The way the bank charges for fees is they use a lot of soft credits. So your clients many times will have a fee of X for gross fees, but their net fees are Y. Don't be concerned with Y and what net is showing up because it's gross at the end of the day. If you look at what's taking place out there, there could be other things they could be doing with those, balances or money. And so just pay attention to what the gross, quote, account analysis fees are. But they're immense. Again, health systems, hospitals, $75,000 to $100,000. Automotive dealerships, they're averaging about $10,000 a year in bank fees. Multifamily providers, anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month for apartment. I'm sitting here thinking of other potential clients. I mean, if you have some we just looked at a large cooperative for one of the alliance members. It was a large cooperative of franchisees, and there was roughly $13,000 a month in bank savings.
Wow.
So Lane, having said that, you're looking at to dummy this down a little bit, you're looking at the ancillary charges, the wire transfers, direct debits, daily fees, and so forth. How do you decide, or do you guys just have a software tool, or you're within your data, what market pricing is and where the profit margins are built into and what should be market price of the different various charges? Is that correct, or can you help me out there?
Sure. We've got 4 indices that we leverage. Basically, all of these are homegrown and built. First 3 indices are really indicative of what's taking place in the market and where we see clients commonly getting priced based on segments, large corporate, middle market, and then we have a category of what we would call are the record lows. And we want to look across all of those indices to get what I would say is a pretty good average, but then you really have to have a banker's lens in all of this because you can't make an unreasonable ask of the bank. Just because someone has a $2 wire doesn't mean that your respective client warrants a $2 wire. Just because someone caught that as a number, because in all actuality, the client is probably getting that as a great deal, but their others are at full price. So you have to have a banker who's run profitability models for the bank and understands the whole picture, along with all of the ancillary business they may be doing with a Chase or a Bank of America, other services, foreign exchange, letters of credit, swaps, derivatives. It's more than just the, quote, bank fees, you've got to be able to understand what they're doing with the bank as a whole, and that's what we do. We're all multi-year bankers. We've got over 150 years of experience in the firm, and we can look at a relationship along with our data that we have aggregated to help them understand where the marketplace is. And we put that back in front of your client. And your client at the end of the day can say, hey, this is great information, or it's no good. We're not going to act on it. They call the shots. We have yet to have a client that's not leveraged the advice. We've had some that have limited some of it, but at the end of the day, they call the shots.
So Derby agents, as you can tell, there's a tremendous amount of experience here. We've worked with Lane and his group for, I'd say, probably the last 6 months since we put the agreement together, and extremely professional in all their dealings with our clients, and they've really uncovered some significant savings and given us more traction into that account. As I mentioned, I believe we're doing 4 of them right now with more on the plate as we're gathering up account analysis statements. So, Kevin, are there any other questions out there?
Hey, Mike Wagner here. Lane, thanks so much for that. Thanks, John. Real quick question to help me out. So I'm talking to somebody. What are there one or two, or what's the most common, like in any sales process, a little bit of pushback, and how can we address it? Can you give me a couple of different things that, when we approach them and kind of have a little bit of dialogue with them, what will be initial, for example, no, we're already fine. We already, we're on top of our bank every day. Or can you shed some light there?
Sure. That's a great question. I think that what you'll find a lot of times is what you stated. We have people looking into that. If that were the case, we wouldn't be in business. To cut to the quick, the issue here is one of virtually all of our clients have accomplished treasury staffs. It really falls in 2 spectrums. Either you have people who are not treasury experts, honestly. They don't understand the market. Or you have accomplished treasury staff, people who understand banking, have RFP'd for years. They meet with their bank quarterly. But those folks have still found value in working with us. And so the end story here is one of as follows. Most of our clients don't have time to go through a rigorous RFP process. That's number 1. Number 2, most don't have the ability to change banks. Number 3 is it always is helpful to have someone else look at that and, hey, we're not going to waste their time. We got 100% reference rate. So as you talk to clients, there's no doubt they have accomplished treasury staffs, but we're talking about companies like Goldman Sachs and some of these other entities that have found value in partnering with us that have some of the most, I would call them, adept teams in the marketplace, experienced individuals. They have found value in partnering with ex-bankers. And not just ex-bankers, but treasury management officers, folks that have managed teams of treasury management officers and run profitability models for the bank. And that is a special breed and hard to find. So, hey, it's worth the look. And I think that's what our position is. As you're out gathering statements, see if you can't pick up a statement and just say, hey, let us at least take a look. We're not going to waste your time. And we won't. I'll give you a great example, the King Ranch in Houston. King Ranch in Houston has, 900,000 acres of land. They're one of the largest landowners in the country. We received an analysis from them, quickly let them know, hey, you don't need any help. Keep doing what you're doing. Let us know when things change. So we're not above turning down a deal and letting a client know that they have a good one. But don't let accomplished treasury staff, quote, get in your way. Many of our clients have that type of staff and found value in the project.
Lane,
Thank you.
Lane, we got a question from one of the agents from Edward Vigil, and the question is, do you work with government entities as well?
That is another great question. And believe it or not, government entities are a challenge. It is one of the loss leaders of the bank. It's one of the thinnest margin areas. And so unfortunately, nonprofit governmental entities are required to RFP their work in many instances. But there are some hybrids out there that are good fits. There are like utilities. There are quasi-government entities. And so you just kind of have to look at those on a case-by-case basis. And at the end of the day, believe it or not, governmental entities generally do not make the best fit. It's going to be pretty much your standard nonprofit, your middle market, and large corporate entities. Those are the spectrums. Governmental entities are not generally a good fit.
Lane, how about universities, school systems, and that particular vertical?
Great opportunities reside in that space. You'll find the school districts, even though they're, I call them a quasi-governmental entity, there's some opportunities there. We looked at a university this past year, and believe it or not, there actually ended up being a very unique opportunity for a large university, and it was amounting to somewhere around $400,000 a year in interest savings. So you can find some opportunities with some universities. We've done two. We're 2 for 2 on universities so far.
Excellent.
Now, in those universities, were those private or were they state schools?
Let's see here. One was private, and the other was an art school. An art school. And then we actually had one come in from one of the Alliance team members that was a health institute. We looked at that deal. The client was paying $954 a month in bank fees. Believe it or not, all of those fees should be not assessed. So, you know, even these unique education institutions, such as these institutes, they present some opportunities as well.
Well, Lane, if there's no more questions, we certainly thank you for your time today and your professional explanation of what Treasury Management Advisors does. And Kevin, we'll send out we have a frequently asked questions form from Treasury Management along with some other documents that I'll forward over to you. As I mentioned to start out, we're putting a one-pager together, which kind of simplifies it and enables the agents and the rest of their teams to send out an easy one-pager, high level, just to see the interest level at their prospective clients that are in their Rolodexes. So we'll get that over to you here sometime tomorrow, I would guess, as a follow-up.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it, John. And again, I'll just leave everyone with the closing statement here. If you see it, the account analysis is usually the golden nugget, and we don't need all pages of it. We just need the roll-up. The first few pages that summarize the client's overall relationship. So thanks for considering us. If you have any questions, please call us offline. John, I, and team members will be happy to help. So thanks for your time, and have a great upcoming weekend here.
Great. Thank you very much, Lane. Much appreciated.
Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye. So that's one that we've been working with, as I mentioned, guys, for about 6 months. And then the second one that I'll take 10 more minutes of your time, and that's what's up on the WebEx here that Kevin was nice enough to put up. And this is a category that we've been involved in for a number of years and have had a lot of success with the express mail piece. As you know, or maybe you don't know, but UPS Air is headquartered in the Louisville market, and with a number of Louisville clients that we have, we found that from a rate negotiation standpoint, the rates are much higher in Louisville than they are in the rest of the country, which seems the opposite of what it should be. And the same is true with FedEx over in Memphis. They seem to take advantage with their corporate position in the community to have higher prices. This particular, so we do have a group that, 2 subject matter experts that have software tools that handle that rate negotiation piece for us for mid-sized to larger clients. But this piece here that we've got in-house at Alliance Cost is really for any size client, and this takes advantage of, we've been told between $1 and $2 billion of late payment refunds go unclaimed from FedEx and UPS. So this really is a program designed to track that piece for law firms, for schools, for service companies, for any vertical that is shipping overnight or 2 days or ground or having any UPS or FedEx shipments. And the software actually tracks the delivery times, and then through that process automatically creates credits and identifies delinquent packages, credits to the carrier account, back to the client's account, and it'll give you a breakdown with access, really give the client even access to a portal with weekly reports that talks about X amount of dollars being saved on a regular basis. So what it is in a nutshell is it's an audit on the late deliveries that are constantly going on, but nobody's doing anything about them. And the companies and clients that we all have don't have the skills or the software to be able to manage that piece. And it's a pretty simple process. We only need two things from the client. If it's an existing ACC client and you've already signed them up through ACC, all we need is a simple addendum to add this category to it for auditing. And if it's not an existing ACC client, then we need a simple letter of engagement that will push out to Derby and to the agents naturally. And all they have to give us is a login and passcode, and they're up and going, no risk to it. An NDA is part of the letter of engagement, and basically they give us their login, passcode, the software starts tracking it, and they end up seeing a check on a weekly basis as the checks come back in based on the traffic that is put through the UPS and FedEx accounts. So doesn't matter what size the client is. We've just put this into place, I'd say, within the last 30 days at ACC. We've got now 2 clients that are using it and couldn't be more pleased. We've got a number of clients that are on our other program, which already includes the audit piece. But this is, just to clarify, this is for the accounts that are smaller in size and aren't looking for rate negotiation. All they're simply looking for is the audit piece based on unclaimed late deliveries from FedEx and UPS.
So, John, this is Kevin. Is this a service that we might see on Cost Crushers sometime and on the website?
Yeah, we will be adding it to Cost Crushers, yes, and it will be, yes, Kevin, that's a good segue. It will be going into that platform because it's just simple and easy to do, and it's also great as a door opener for our other 32 or 33 different categories. It's a very easy sell, and nothing really required on the backside other than login and passcode from your client. So if they're willing to give us login and passcode by signing a confidentiality agreement or a simple NDA, bingo, we go in there and take a look at that. The software, it gets put in place and it starts tracking all their deliveries. Terrific for law firms and for accounting firms, and depending on where your other relationships are. Anybody that's pumping out UPS and FedEx packages and overnights, this is a great product because nobody really internally at these companies tracks any of this, and certainly UPS and FedEx don't readily give back any of the refunds unless they're accounted for and tracked through a software tool such as this.
So it's kind of similar to the type of auditing and tracking that you do or that's out there with wireless and leaving it on your wireless account, whether it's Verizon or AT&T or Sprint or what have you, and you're just making sure that they're getting the best rates that are available. That's kind of what you're doing here, right?
Yeah, that's a very good analogy, Kevin, because in the wireless piece, the end user really has no idea that anything's taken place when we've optimized and improved rates or changed pools or changed managed plans. The end user will not know, and same thing's true here. The end users and those doing the shipping, certainly no changes in service, no changes in any shape or form other than keeping UPS and FedEx honest with their late deliveries. And quite frankly, it's an ongoing process, particularly around the holidays. I mean, the late deliveries are just out of control, and the client should be getting refunds on those late deliveries, and it just doesn't happen unless their feet are held to the fire at FedEx and UPS, and this tool provides that.
So does that come into play if, for instance, I had requested delivery by 10:30 a.m. and they don't actually deliver it until 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Exactly. And you get charged for the 1030 fee. So the savings, we haven't had that question, but what we're finding with the implementations that we have put in place, the savings range anywhere from 3 to 15% on a monthly basis, depending on how much volume is being pushed through the account with both UPS and FedEx. So it can be very substantial, and if you sign up multiple clients, it can be extremely profitable. So we will send out, Kevin, you've got the one-pager that you can forward to all the agents, and then I'll be pleased to get one of the team's providers that we white label this service, so I'll be happy to get somebody that can do even more drill down with you. But we think this one-pager explains the majority of it, and it's not a difficult sell. Clients there's really no risk involved for signing it up because they're currently not doing anything with it whatsoever or tracking it. The only ones that are tracking it are the large Fortune 250s that have a software tool in place that's not only tracking this but also tracking rate negotiation and operationally how to make improvements in their delivery processes. But the market is wide open.
And no size limitations on this either, right?
None. Nope.
All right. Any questions out there from anyone? John, I don't hear any.
All right. Well, we're good to go then, and we'll push out this information to you, Kevin. I'll get you the one-pager on Treasury Management, as everybody on the call could certainly experience. Lane and his team, ex-bankers, very professional, very sharp, high integrity, because that's an area that certainly requires that. And we're going to have a lot of, as we expect to continue having a lot of success with that, and rolling out this express mail piece is also going to be a big winner for all. So just give us a call. We're going to reach out to the agents individually as best we can at ACC, and we look forward to working with you. Thanks very much, Kevin, for setting this up and for everybody's time.
All right, and let me echo that, John. Thanks to you, and give Lane our thanks again as well for walking us through that Treasury Management piece. And guys, take advantage of this. It's as simple and easy. It'll be out there on costcrushers.com. If you don't have your code, you need to get a hold of ACC, and they'll get you a code so you can just have it out there and just give that code to your customer, and they put it in, and you'll get credit for it, and you get commission on it, and you didn't have to do anything. And all you do is just point them in the right direction. So it's a great opportunity for you. Again, there's no limit, no amount of billings that they have to have with either FedEx or UPS, and even on the Treasury side. That's a little bit different. That's more of a part of the normal ACC engagement in one of the categories. So if you have any questions, let me know, and we'll get John and his team on the phone with you, and we'll talk through them. Again, I appreciate you guys taking the time today. That wraps us up for this call. Next week we'll have HarborLink Networks, and they'll be talking to us about their Wi-Fi hotspot management program. And we're getting some really great opportunities on that front lately, and it's really starting to take off for us. So just wanted to let you know, give you a quick preview on that. And again, I thank you for taking the time. We'll see you next Thursday. Thanks, everyone.